Hi guys, welcome back to the garden. How are you? It is another beautiful day. Listen, we came off of the hottest week. Oh my goodness, it's the hottest week I've ever experienced, right? We went from comfortable, and as you guys know, when we did the stroll on Sunday, last Sunday, I described the heat that had just covered us, where we were at in the highs of high 90s, and then the heat indexes within the 100 and 100 plus, like 105. Can I tell you? I was burning. Oh my word, I was burning. I could not make it out into the garden. I would attempt to get out into the garden right at about 6 o'clock, right? And I'm telling you, by 6:15, I was ready to get inside because it was just so hot. But then finally, the rains came. So on Friday, that heat dome moved off, and we got a beautiful, well needed shower of rain. And so the garden is looking a little bit more refreshed now, not as stressed as it looked 2 days ago. And it being the end of June, I've decided that, you know what, let's touch on all the cute spots as we can right now, because I don't know if we're going to hit another heat wave next week. And let me tell you, like I said, it was, oh, you should have seen my mop head hydrangeas. Oh man, my mop head struggled in that heat, but they're still alive. All right, so let's get on. Let's go ahead and do a quick tour of the garden, and I'll show you what we're looking like right here at the end of June. Right? All right, guys, so I am behind the camera. Again, it feels good today. Let's start or walk through the garden and let's see what's happening here right at the end, the 29th day of June. All right, first, little hydrangea. This is the only hydrangea, well, one of two that has started to bloom for me in a container. This is the vanilla strawberry. Okay, beautiful hydrangea, right? This is one that we ordered from Home Depot. I couldn't believe it. We ordered it from Home Depot last year. Came in beautifully packaged and has been growing healthily ever since planting. Okay. Everything here is looking pretty healthy, pretty refreshed. Like I said, the rain that we got was well needed. Look at this limelight here in a container. The proof that we were really burning. Look at those leaves. My babies burned, people. They burned. I tried to, as I mentioned, I tried to get out first thing in the morning, and if not late in the evening, right at about 8 o'clock, because we have the longer days now. It was still unbearable, but I tried to keep my containers as well watered as possible. Right? The Rose Island behind us is still going strong. The Shasta daisies are doing their thing, and the pink rose that is a Sophie's rose. Look at her; she's blooming. Hey, she is blooming, guys. All right, let's see if I can make my way around, and let's start by looking at the da-da-da-da-da-da, hydrangeas, because they're going to be taking the show. They're going to be picking up the blooms for us here right in July, right? All right, so let's go ahead and start right here at my little hottie section. My little hotties. You guys remember my little hotties? Yep. So right here we have the petunias planted in containers doing really, really well. Right? I am proud of those petunias. Why? Because these are the ones that we started from seed. Yep. And believe it or not, I had, you see the two darker containers with the red and white. I had those petunias in one container, and I divided them and planted them up in its two separate containers about 3 weeks ago. So they've started settling in and they've started filling in, and I'm like, wow, why did I have all of these in just one container? Right? Way more impact being divided into two. Now you're going to see a behind the containers, my hydrangeas, the little hotties on either end, really suffered last year. They did not come back in as strong as I would have liked and hoped this season. And what I was looking at that I had described to you earlier in previous videos as pesticide damage or herbicide damage, When I took photos into the nursery, I was told that no, it's actually not herbicide damage. It was actually winter damage. So these guys are stunted from the stress that they went through last winter. And I was told to just leave the plant in and let it go through the season and then see what it looks like here next year. And so I did just that. This one has started to fill out. The leaves have now started to grow, which is gorgeous. And it even has some buds. That's a good thing. Right? The other one on the opposite side is still a bit smaller, but too has started putting on some growth. Right? So I guess we are just going to wait on this section for next season to see if they do make it through or next winter and then bloom beautifully for us. If not, then at that time we'll go ahead and we might make some changes in terms of the little hotties at the back. We may replace them with other little hotties, or we might try to do something different in the space. Okay. These are the little hotties at the front, and we have one there in a container at the very back. These guys are looking healthy. The one in the container more so than the ones in the ground, right? This one looks a little, what's that? Chlorotic and a little deprived of nutrients. So I'll go ahead and give these guys a feed, as they definitely will benefit from it. And then the petunias on the back of the fence, those are the bubblegum petunias, super petunia bubblegums that we planted about 2 weeks ago. They are finally starting to put on some growth. It's finally getting settled in, so that hopefully these are going to be overflowing with blooms here in a few weeks. Right? All right, and here is a quick look at the Rose Island. Look at bring a meet the sunshine. Shasta daisies are worn out now. We're going to go ahead and I think we're going to go ahead and cut them back. Okay, but the roses are now starting to push up growth and push out blooms. Bring me sunshine. Little lime hydrangea. What? Filling out beautifully. Look at the size on this one. Beautiful. The Sophie's Rose gave us her flush of roses last week, so she now needs to be deadheaded, but I'm sure there are more blooms to come. Okay. And let's see. Hyde Hall needs to be deadheaded. Japanese beetles are here. Let me show you. They are not as prominent or as numerous as previous seasons at this time of the year, but I will be. These are now my days of walking through the garden with my soap water because we're going to be getting rid of them one by one, right? Or two by two. Okay. Look, another a little lime hydrangea. I don't know how this one is further along in its bloom phase compared to the bigger one, as this is a teeny little baby on the ground. This one's really small in terms of size and in terms of width and height, but it's all good. And here is our James L. Austin. Hey, James. Good morning. How you doing? You're giving me small blooms this season. What's going on? I didn't feed you well. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. This is James L. Austin. Okay. Looking good, looking healthy. And look at that. Buds, people. Yep, he is going to flower for us, which is awesome. All right, I'm going to pull the camera around and turn you to Bosco Bell. Bosco Bell has started a second wave of blooms for us. Now, my second flush of roses is never as beautiful as my first. I've never been able to get a really awesome second flush. But when growing roses, you enjoy every moment. You enjoy every bloom, right? So right now, we got a few blooms and I am enjoying it. Okay? This is Bosco Bell. And a little close. Doing beautifully. All right. I think, let's see, Cloud 10. Cloud 10 is back there, but I don't think there are any blooms. Yeah, there are no blooms on Cloud 10 right now. So I'll take you back to look at That rose maybe in a week or two once she does put on some blooms. But we've got a second round of blooms from this little pink beauty. Look at the growth, guys. Pause for a second. Can you take a look at all of the new growth on this plant? Are you seeing it? The lighter color leaves. I heard something. I don't know why that scared me. People, why am I afraid in my garden? Why am I afraid in my garden? I have no idea. Man. But look, all the new growth. Let me pull back so you can see. Fully filled with nice, healthy new foliage. I love that. And then awesome thing is that they are buds. So she is going to flower for us, give us a second round of blooms. The first of which is right here. Nice, right? Yeah, beautiful. All right here, the black diamond crepe myrtles are now almost at full height for the season. I'm thinking they're standing at about 3.5 feet right now. All right, so we're going to be getting into some blooms here in about a month, which is awesome. Lady of Shalott, I did come in and I gave her what I thought was a decent cutback. But look at her. She started blooming again and look at the height. We're going to give you a view from the other side. Maybe a bit, be able to capture how tall those canes are. Are you seeing them? Yeah. And I did cut her back. Wow, I did really slice her back after the first flush of roses. And do you see the longer canes? Like you see these, and I'm trying to show you. These actually start from the base. I kid you not. This right here. See if you can follow it. Let me put my finger there. Is is coming from the base. New basil breaks. Amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. But although the canes are a bit taller, right? And they're our little friends, enemies, Japanese beetles. I am going to get him. Look at him. Totally devoured that leaf. Look at that. Don't like him. All right, we're pulling back. I have a lot of birds. Have you seen it? I have lots of birds in the garden, and I'm wondering how they let all these Japanese beetles go uneaten. They should be feasting on them, right? You would think. That's what I thought. But all right, but okay. Lady of Shalott, looking gorgeous, beautiful. All right. All right, so I've moved us over to the standard section of the garden. This is where we have most of our standards planted. Right here is a vanilla strawberry hydrangea. This is one that you saw identical to the one that we have planted in a container. It is the same age, right? But it has done way better in terms of the size of the stems and the plant itself because it's planted in the ground, right? If you want to keep a plant small, plant it in a container, or two, ask me to plant it for you, stop it, all right? But this one is doing really well. The limelight hydrangeas standards. Now, these guys are a little problematic for me because they will bloom beautifully, but then once we get a shower of rain, because their panicles are usually very large, I always end up losing stems from my limelights. And I don't like when that happens. It's painful, actually, right? So, what I did this year is I held off on pruning. I did not prune as heavily because you remember last year, the ones that we had in containers, I did not prune them. And so we got smaller panicles, and the plant was able to hold up those panicles during wet weather. So I'm hoping that is going to be the same for the standards in the ground. I did a light share of them earlier this spring. So we should have smaller panicles that I'm now hoping that the plant itself is going to be able to support, that the stems are going to be able to support, so that I won't be losing any of or really nice branches this year. Fingers crossed, right? Okay, and moving around to this side, and I will bring you in close so that you can see everything. I just wanted to stand beside it so that you could get an idea of the height, the actual height of the plants. All right, this is our blue, azuri blue rose of Sharon, blooming beautifully. Now, During the heat wave that we had a few days ago, these blooms were actually coming out and they were turning white almost immediately because it was just so hot, right? Just so hot. But right now, she has her nice blue color and she is looking gorgeous. I'm going to pull you guys in so that I can show you everything up close. All right, so let me take you on in here so that you can see them. Again, the limelight hydrangeas. This is the vanilla strawberry that we spoke about. Look again, see how thick, man. This. Let me put my finger there. The stem is almost the width of my finger. Look at that. That is some seriously thick. What's that? Thick growth, right? Beautiful. And something I forgot to touch on is Emily Bronte. Look at Emily. Oh man, Emily is trying so hard to be herself right here. But every time this rose sends up canes longer than 3 feet tall, they break. They break from the base and I have to cut them. I have no idea why that's happening. Now that they're shorter, right? They're stable, but anything longer than 3 feet literally just falls to the ground. No idea why. Maybe it's just age. So let's see how she does here next spring, right? Give her another season here in the ground. Spoke about this is the one that keeps losing branches. All right. So I'm seeing the smaller panicles. I'm thinking that we may have a nice proportion to plant this year. And I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that she is able to support all of these gorgeous blooms. Okay? And of course, let me show you the Rose of Sharon because the blue on this plant is just amazing. Look at it. That is beautiful. Oh, is it not? You see the pollinators just loving her, like hummingbirds. Ooh, 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 ooh. So, ooh, ooh. One's flying around me. I'm sorry. It would be ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, okay. Let me pull away. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I just stood here, and then all of the bees started swarming towards the plant, and one was just kept going around my head. Made me a little bit uncomfortable. Right? But yeah, but this plant is filled with buds. Can you see it? Lots of buds, so lots of blooms. The flowers last a day, but because there are so many, right? She just keeps on blooming and blooming and blooming. Every stem is filled with flowers and buds. Gorgeous, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, guys. The hydrangeas that we had divided earlier this spring when we were just in need of some garden therapy, and we cut those babies in half. They are doing good. All right, this is one growing here in a container. And let me show you the second one here. Here is the second half doing really well as well. These are the quick-fire. These are the quick-fire fab hydrangeas. And there is our airplane passes at the same time every morning. So you know whether or not I came out to do my tour when I was supposed to, right? Every morning, right at around this time, we have flyovers. Just giving it a second to pass by. All right, let's take a look at the limelights that we have sitting here in containers. These guys have now finally started to push up panicles. Ooh, they are going to flower and they're going to flower beautifully. Can you see? With the windstorms that we had, this container fell over twice, people, twice. But thank goodness I have not lost any serious branches, right? And the plant itself, let me pull back, is looking very healthy. I'm going to try to give myself some distance so that you can actually see her. Growing really well here in a container, over 4 foot wide in terms of the canopy. I'm pretty satisfied with that. In about a week or so, she should be covered, right? Hopefully. Let me show you number two. This is our second limelight hydrangea in the container. Again, beautiful, right? Beautiful. I love these. These are the first hydrangeas. The first, well, were they my first hydrangeas? Let me think. Yeah, the limelights were the first hydrangeas that I've purchased and planted. These two in containers that I just showed you. And then my second experience with hydrangeas were the bubos, right? And then we jumped from there into the little hotties, into my little hottie hydrangeas. And then we started with the mop heads, all right? Roses have started to enter their second flush, right? Lots of buds right here. This is the Desdemona. This is Desdemona. I am slowly losing my, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm slowly losing my emerald green arborvitaes, these two that sit in full sun, which baffles me because I thought it would have been the ones that sit in part shade that would have struggled. But it's the these that are growing in full sun that are having a hard time. That's this one here and that one on the opposite side. I'm told that it is probably an issue with either overwatering or underwatering. Right? So I stepped up on my watering to see if the plant would improve, which it did not. So now I'm going to back off my watering and see if we'll have any improvements with less water. But basically, I have now just wrapping my mind around the fact that I'll probably need to replace these, and I probably will. See if I can get two healthy plants to pop in there and see what it looks like. I'm really anxious to see what it looks like when I pull that plant out of the ground to see what the planting hole, what was happening in that planting hole. All right. Lime lights, I'm sorry, emerald greens on this side doing really well. And the rose walk has changed. Let me pull back. Can you see it? We passed by so many things so quickly. I'm so sorry. So the bubbles are starting to do their thing. Gertrude Chico is finally going to treat us to a second flush of roses. Right? This is her third year. You met me on the first year, no bloom, second year. So this is her third season, and we're going to have a second wave of blooms. The hydrangeas. Can we talk about the mop heads for just a minute? Now, the first day of that heat wave, I made a crucial mistake, and that is that I did not water the hydrangeas. I did not. And so when I came out later that evening, they were wilted and burnt. You can see some of it here. You see that leaf? Yeah, we got a lot of burning. And I have quickly learned that if I come out, be it early in the mornings or late in the evenings, and give these guys at least a gallon of water, that they're able to make it through the day, through that heat wave, without burning, without severely burning or severely wilting. So either get to them first thing in the morning to give them that water or late in the evening. And they're fine. Yeah. So note to self, I need to ensure that I do that um, for throughout the summer to ensure that I keep these hydrangeas up alive and blooming. All right. So more bobos and another summer crush hydrangea tucked in. Right here in bloom for saying hi is Rodal. Again, Rodal has bloomed his best for me this year in terms of size and in terms of blooms. It only took him 3 years to get started. You know, I was like, what is this rose doing? He just needed some time to settle in. And now that he has settled in and started getting into his own and giving us his blooms, it's really refreshing, right? Beautiful rose. Behind Rodal, the climber, Crown Princess Margarita, she is getting ready. A few scattered blooms. I'll take you in closer. Right, you can see she has her buds, but but she's not yet ready to flower. So I think we have another couple weeks on this one before we see her in a full second flush of blooms. All right. Yeah, this is what the section is looking like. Beautiful, right? Absolutely beautiful, right? Okay, I want to show you just one more rose because this rose continually gives us blooms. She was a rose that was in bloom for us on Mother's Day. She has now started her second flush of roses, and her second is almost like her first, albeit a bit smaller because of the stress of the heat and the lack of love from me. But she's looking beautiful, and I just like to end on her. So let's head into the back garden. Right, and here she is. This is a Darcy Bussell. I guess you knew I was going to take you over to Darcy Bussell, didn't you? Darcy Bussell, as mentioned, is the one rose that was in full flush on Mother's Day. She took a little time off. She's back in full flush again, right? She is just a gorgeous rose in the garden. You're looking at just one planting of her right now. You know, normally I plant in mass 2 or 3. Listen, this is one plant, and she is gorgeous. She is owning the space, and she is just, oh, I love her, right? Wish she had a fragrance. That would have just been the icing on the cake. But the fact that this little lady blooms and blooms and blooms is what wins it for me. An absolutely gorgeous rose that I truly enjoy. Right, Darcy Bussell. All right, let me just give you a quick peek right here because look at these. These are our marigolds, guys. These are the marigolds that you saw last week and maybe 2 weeks ago. Look at how they have filled in. Look at the size of those blooms. These are marigolds that we started from seed. And that is why I'm so proud of this. We started these from seed. What? Look, I think it's the Marble 2 orange and Marble 2 yellow. I purchased these seeds from Swallowtail Seeds. Right? And I think germination rate, I think I had 100% germination rate for these guys. Right? But look at that. Beautiful. The heads are so pom-pommy and cute that, wow, it's not funny. And I do love the way that they formed a very quick, what's that, bedding plant. So they filled in really beautifully, and then they're not overstepping their space, which I really do love. I really love these guys, really love these. This side is in full flush at the moment. I don't know why this side is a couple of days behind, but that's all right because I see the flowers, I see the buds, and so I know that they're coming. But this is cool. This is something I will repeat. And do you know that they have white marigolds? Yeah, I'm going to try the white. The only thing that troubles me about the marigolds is that the color is just really bright and popping, and it's a stronger color than I'm used to in the garden. But oh man, I enjoy it. I I do like it though. I like the fact that it has required no care from me, and they're doing well. All right, beautiful people. Let's see. I will go ahead and we will end the video here for today. Well, actually, not until I show you my bam. This is the hibiscus, edge of night. Stop it. She got buds. Look at that. What? And look, and on the stem, do you see the buds down there? This is going to be cool, right? I think these guys need to be fed. These are the ones that we planted, and I think it was the middle of May that we put these in the ground. Happy to see them growing. I'm going to come out here since we had that beautiful shower of rain a day or so ago. I'm going to now come in and I'm going to give all of my babies some, what's that word? Some fish emulsion, right? Just in case they need a little bit of energy with all that summer heat that they've had to go through, right? But I will give them a feed so that we do have some love going down for them. And hopefully this plant is going to continue to grow. She's way shorter than I expected. I don't know why I thought I would have had a 3 foot plant the first year planting, but she's looking healthy, and I'm sure that maybe next year I'll get that the full height as she gets older, more established in the space, right? Yeah. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and we will end the video here for today. Darcy is looking gorgeous. You are seeing the marigolds, and you are seeing the edge of night hibiscus, right? All beautiful things. All right, thank you so much for having joined me again for another beautiful day in the garden. You are all awesome. It's Sunday rolling into Monday, so happy, happy what? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Have a great week next week, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.